be on mic 1.
There it is. Okay.
Message is powerful and counters the horrible anti-Semitic rhetoric that has caught on and spread across our college campuses, our communities, and even in some of our halls of power. They are in the peace and relationship building business. Among the 350 Nebraskans they got to meet, and they spent time with Lieutenant Governor Kelly and Councilman Harding and other people. At the end of those meetings on Tuesday, Professor Ari Cohn was going to host them at the Harris Center for a dinner and a panel conversation. And prior to that, Professor Cohn had extended an invitation to the Students for Justice in Palestine to meet with us behind closed doors and to talk about peace and to talk about improving the welfare and the outcomes for the Gazans. We were rebuffed, not surprisingly, and very tellingly, they refused. But they did decide to table in the student union to raise money for Gaza at the same time that our events were taking place in Lincoln. So Ari, being ever courageous and also cordial, took a plate of chocolate chip cookies, freshly baked halal kosher, to the table of the Students for Justice in Palestine and offered them cookies. They were nervous. They kind of laughed a little nervously. He again extended an invitation to join us for the Harris Center talk. They refused. While I'm watching this transaction, I'm looking at one of the young people, and she's wearing a sweatshirt that says Intifada Fan Club. Now, what happened yesterday on Bondi Beach is what that young person was glorifying on her sweatshirt. Any of us who identify as Jews, we're part of that story. And this attack emanates from the primary ideological driver of contemporary anti-Jewish hostility, which is known as anti-Zionism. It's not about borders. It's not about political disagreements or how to build a better future for Palestinians or Israelis. It is pure hate. And it is here in Nebraska. And we are not okay with that. Nobody should be. I hate to end on such a negative note, but at this time I'd like to introduce my CEO, Bob Goldberg, who is going to, where are you, Bob?
He's over there.
Hi, who's going to take over. Thank you again for being here. I really appreciate everybody.
Thank you, Sharon, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Again, my name is Bob Goldberg, and I have the honor of serving as the Chief Executive Officer of the Jewish Federation of Omaha. So welcome to our Steinberg-Cooper-Feldman campus. To be Jewish in our world today means to be targeted with hatred, hate crimes, and terrorism for merely being Jewish. To target any or all Jews for Israeli politics, politicians, military, or other issues one doesn't agree with, or to deny Israel's right to exist as the Jewish homeland, to deny the Jewish people's self-determination, or to hold Israel to standards other nations are not held to, is anti-Semitism. This was a deliberate terrorist act targeting the Jewish community in Sydney, Australia, as Jews and friends celebrated the first night of Hanukkah. We insist that local, state, and national officials, media, and civic leaders loudly and clearly condemn this act as anti-Semitism. There can be no equivocating or uncertainty. May the memory of those murdered while celebrating Hanukkah in Australia be a blessing. May those injured have a full and speedy recovery. Thank you to the first responders and the heroes who ran towards danger to help. Jews are being murdered in 2025 throughout the world for being Jewish. It is time. It is long past time, frankly, for all governments to wake up and begin to recognize and proactively respond to anti-Semitism. Today and throughout the coming days, we in the Jewish community will light our Hanukkah candles and place them proudly in our windows. The essence of the holiday is the fight of the Maccabees, a small but determined minority to stand up against oppressors that wanted to force our people to abandon our faith. We are standing up today as the Maccabees did in ancient times, and we are not afraid. We will grow and we will flourish here in Omaha, in North America, in Israel, and around the world. Our community will never retreat in the face of hatred, and we will never refrain from carrying on our Jewish traditions. Rather, we will use all of our tools to make sure our communities are safe and that our lights burn all the brighter. At this time, I would like to welcome Lieutenant Governor Joe Kelly to share some words.
Good afternoon. On behalf of Governor Pillen, I'm here today to express our condemnation, total condemnation of these horrific acts that occurred over the weekend. As Sharon pointed out, she assembled this group Sunday with very little notice, all the better. And I told her the same before we started, because we can't let a day or 2 days or 3 days lapse without the community speaking to this and saying this hate will stop. And this hate will be opposed at every inch along the way. After October 7, Governor Pillen and I had long discussions, and he asked me to serve as his liaison to the Jewish community as we began to focus in Nebraska on what we could do here in Nebraska, here in the nation, on our campuses. He continues, and we continue that effort. It was only strengthened by his recent trip to Israel, where he gained a better knowledge of some of these issues that have been going on for far too long. But we are here to say we will confront it, we will stop it whenever we can, we condemn it in its highest form. And the last thing I would say is positive, if we can say something positive on a day like this. And that is what Sharon referred to, those 4 young people who were in our capital last week under the Abraham Accord group. It was inspiring to see these young people who don't have hate filling their hearts from all of those nations, some Muslim, some Jewish, some Christian, all together. There is a future over the hill. There is a future, but we have to make it safe for them to do that, because they are brave young people. That's who we want to inspire, and that's what makes doing something like this job totally worthwhile.
Please welcome Colonel Brian Waugh, Superintendent of Law Enforcement.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Sharon. Thanks, Lieutenant Governor. I will start off by answering Bob's question, and I would loudly condemn violence and anti-Semitism on behalf of the entire Nebraska State Patrol. We're saddened by the senseless, tragic mass shooting that occurred in Sydney, Australia over the weekend. I'm here today to stand in solidarity with the Jewish community in Australia and here in Nebraska. While there is no known threat at this time, the Nebraska State Patrol, along with local and federal partners, remain vigilant and committed to protecting Jewish communities across the entire state. We recommend citizens maintain heightened awareness while attending religious services and community gatherings, and call 911 to report anything suspicious. Through the Nebraska Information and Analysis Center, the NIAC, or the Fusion Center, Captain Monty Lovelace is here today as well if there's any further questions about that. The Nebraska State Patrol continues to work closely with the Jewish Federation of Omaha, our local, federal, and international partners to monitor developments and ensure the safety of Nebraskans. Together, we stand united against hate, violence, and condemn anti-Semitic violence of any kind, anywhere. Thank you.
Senator Frederick.
Good afternoon, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today and to stand in solidarity with the community. What happened yesterday in Australia is nothing short of horrific, particularly as we come together to celebrate Hanukkah. It is important to be here today with colleagues and local leadership to reaffirm our commitment to the Jewish community and to building a world that is free from hate, violence, and anti-Semitism. Please take care of yourselves during this time and know that you are loved and supported here in Nebraska. We stand with you and will continue to work towards a society grounded in respect, dignity, and safety. I also want to read a few remarks from my colleague, Senator Brad Von Gillern, who would have liked to be here today, but unfortunately is traveling. But he did send some remarks that I'll read from him right now. To the Jewish community of Nebraska, please accept my condolences, those of my family and staff, and the people of District 4 for the tragic loss of at least 15 Jewish lives to senseless terroristic violence at the Bondi Beach Hanukkah celebration in Australia yesterday. I condemn in no uncertain terms this heinous act of anti-Jewish violence and pray that the perpetrators of this unthinkable evil will be brought swiftly by authorities to face justice. Our hearts break for the Jewish community in Omaha and all over the world. Our thoughts and prayers are with you and especially with the victims of Sunday's attacks and their families. History has shown the Jewish people to be strong and resilient, and we stand with you against evil, violence, and hatred. Thank you.
Please welcome Deputy Chief of Staff from Omaha Mayor Ewing's office, Keith Station.
Good afternoon. I bring regrets from Mayor Ewing. He is traveling and was unable to be here today. Thank you all for being here. It's good to see you, even under this occasion. I'd like to acknowledge the dignitaries and elected officials that are here today and law enforcement. And thank you, Sharon. Sharon Brocky is one of my favorite people in this community doing hard work. Thank you for the kind invitation to be here. I'd like to send condolences from Omaha to Bondi Beach and remind us all that we cannot allow for the normalization of senseless killings and mass shootings and violence. We can't, no matter how often it happens, no matter where it happens. I was especially saddened when I learned that one of the individuals that was killed in Bondi Beach was a Holocaust survivor. That is, one life lost is too many, but that was especially moving to learn that. I'm so honored to work for a mayor who has said that dignity and respect and accountability is what he stands for and insists that his leaders follow that as well. It is a non-negotiable for people that work in Mayor Ewing's administration, and I'm honored to be a part of that. To lead is to serve. I'll just say in closing briefly that I am trying to spread in as many spaces as I can this notion of a solidarity dividend. If you've heard of the solidarity dividend, it is just what it sounds like, value gains created when people come together in solidarity across races, across identities, if we generate value together. So I would invite you to move beyond thoughts and prayers and let's move to action. What does action look like? It means it's time to resist, again, the normalization of violence, anti-Semitism, hate speech. It's time to get as local as you can to make a difference where you can. It's time to figure out how to be an ally where you can. And again, it's time to spread the value, increase the value of a solidarity dividend. Lastly, hug your family tight. Always, every day. Thank you to the folks who've hosted this press conference and on this beautiful campus. I appreciate you and the work you do in our community. The City of Omaha, Mayor John Ewing supports and stands with the Jewish community and unequivocally condemns hate, violence, mass killings, shootings, in all of its forms. So thank you for being here, and turn it over.
Councilman Brinker Hardy.
Hanukkah is symbolic of the Jewish struggle to resist submission to tyranny and to sustain its spiritual heritage. No people have fought longer, struggled harder, or sacrificed more to survive, to grow, and to live in freedom than the people of Israel. We appeal to the people everywhere to open their hearts and raise their voices in support of our brothers and sisters. Together, let us pray that the warm lights of Hanukkah will spread their spirit of freedom and reach comfort and sustain every person who is suffering tonight. Those are not my words. Those words were spoken by President Ronald Reagan 42 years ago. Eerie, in a macabre way, how unfortunately these words are timeless and appropriate today and in today's world. Yesterday, on the first night of Hanukkah, we were reminded of the hate and anti-Semitism that Jews are still subjected to throughout the world. On what was to be a day and night of celebration and joy at Bondi Beach's Hanukkah by the Sea, a tragic and horrific scene exploded as two gunmen indiscriminately hunted down innocent and defenseless Jews, including a 10-year-old boy and a Holocaust survivor. At least 16 people were senselessly killed, dozens wounded, and countless traumatized. The victims will never be able to light a candle for any night of this or any future Hanukkah, for their lights have been extinguished. Let us pray for their memories. Let us pray for their souls. Let us pray for our friends and families of the Jewish faith. Let us remember that the menorah's light is a symbol of hope and faith, and that it can lead us out of darkness, of hate. And let those who hate understand that hate has no place in Australia, it has no place in the UK, it has no place in France, and it has no place in the United States of America. Hate has no place anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you all for those beautiful words. Please welcome our campus security manager, James Donahue.
We are gathered here in the shadow of the horrific shooting this past weekend in Australia. Our hearts are with the victims, their families, and the entire Jewish community. An attack on Jews anywhere is an attack on Jewish people everywhere. We stand in mourning and in solidarity with the victims abroad. In moments of tragedy and heightened fear, we are profoundly reminded of the partners who stand beside us to ensure not just the safety of the Jewish people, but the safety of all people to live and worship in peace. Therefore, on behalf of the Jewish Federation of Omaha and the community it represents, we extend our deepest and most sincere gratitude to our law enforcement partners represented here today, from the FBI, Nebraska State Patrol, Douglas County Sheriff's Department, and the Omaha Police Department. Every single day, and especially in times of crisis, these dedicated men and women put their lives on the line to protect community centers, our places of worship, our schools, our neighborhoods. We do not take this for granted. We are grateful not just for their visible presence, but for the vital partnership we have built together. This is not a static relationship. It is an active and ongoing collaboration. We appreciate the open lines of communication, the joint trainings, and the genuine concern they show for the community's well-being. This partnership is a powerful force against hatred. It's a clear message that those who seek to spread violence or terror will be met with a community of resilience and professional dedication. To our law enforcement officers and agencies, thank you. We see your commitment, we value your courage, and we are proud to stand with you in the mission of protecting all of our citizens from harm. I would now like to introduce ASAC Andrew Mitchell from the FBI.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Sharon. And thank you, Bob, for the invitation to be here today. As was said, I'm Andrew Mitchell, Assistant Special Agent in charge for the FBI here in Omaha. Our partners in Australia are dealing with an unimaginable tragedy. What should have been a celebration on a beach turned into a mass casualty event. Our prayers are with the Australian people as they navigate the days and the weeks ahead. As we speak, the FBI is providing requested assistance to Australian authorities as they continue their investigation into this heinous act. We are certainly not immune to hatred-fueled violence in the United States. Unfortunately, history has shown that active shooter and mass casualty incidents are threats faced by communities across America. But our communities do not stand alone. Everyone here plays a crucial role in preventing and stopping attacks. We found that in most mass violence events, someone close to the offender noticed concerning behaviors prior to that attack. We urge everyone, to remain vigilant and report any threats of violence or suspicious activity to law enforcement, especially as we proceed through the holiday season. As with any potential threat to the United States, we will coordinate with our partners both domestically and abroad to ensure they have the resources and information necessary to keep our communities safe. You can report threat information or suspicious activity to us, the FBI, online at tips.fbi.gov. You can also call 1-800-CALL-FBI. If the activity involves imminent violence or threat to life, please call 911. Thank you.
I would now like to introduce Captain John Sokolik.
Thank you. On behalf of Chief Schmatter and all of the men and women of the Omaha Police Department, I would like to express condolences to the families and friends of the victims of the Bondi Beach horror. We too stand in solidarity with the global Jewish community. The entire law enforcement community in this area will always vigorously investigate crimes of anti-Semitic nature and stand ready and willing to protect all citizens and intervene when acts of violence occur. That is our collective promise to this entire community. Our city has absolutely no room for hate. Thank you.
I would now like to introduce Harmony Maples from the Anti-Defamation League.
Thank you all for being here today. Anti-Defamation League's mission statement for over 110 years is to stop the defamation of the Jewish people and secure justice and fair treatment for all. ADL extends its condolences to the victims and their families in Australia and to Chabad for the loss of their colleague. Anti-Semitic incidents have skyrocketed nationally over the last several years, from 2,700 to over 9,000. But Hanukkah will not be extinguished by anti-Semitism or by any extremist organizations or individuals anywhere on the political spectrum. ADL Center on Extremism will continue to monitor extremist organizations and individuals around the country. And even in the face of hatred, we continue to gather, to celebrate, and to shine our light into the world. This is not a time for fear to govern us, but rather a time for vigilance, solidarity, and hope. Thank you.
I'd like to call on Rabbi Mendel Katzman of Chabad of Nebraska.
It's hard to smile at a time like this, but I'll begin with saying a blessing over the water, since I wasn't prepared for this. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niyeh b'dvaro. So yes, we all know, or we heard, and our hearts are on the other side of the world in many ways, but it's a very difficult, it's almost an impossible subject to address. But quite frankly, last night when we were lighting the menorah out in the public in Stinson Park, there was a large menorah that had 9 branches on it, and we only lit one. When you only light one, you realize that the light is there, but it's only 12% or so of the entire menorah. So there's a lot more darkness than there is light. And it's a little depressing. But when you think about the future, when we live in Omaha, we always worship Warren Buffett when it comes to financial advice. We realize that you can't look at the immediate. You can't be a day trader. You got to look at the long term. The long-term investment in being godly and being spiritual and being moral always paid off. Short term, there are challenges. So in the Jewish calendar, we know that we could go by the moon. The reason why we go by the moon is because the moon waxes and wanes. And when it's at its darkest moment, that's when we declare Rosh Chodesh, a new month, and there's going to be a new opportunity. So when there are downs, we focus on the ups that are going to follow. And the ups will be a lot greater than ever before. Now, the expression that I heard from the mayor's office that we should stop, or we should go beyond, not stop, we should go beyond prayers and wishes, I agree with that 100%, because we have to act. And most of the evil that's happening over there is not going to be changed. We're not going to move the needle at all by addressing the evil doers. They're unfortunately stuck in that evil, and we're not going to change them. But we will be able to control them if the majority who are neutral are standing by and not condemning and not putting their foot down and not saying that it's okay and not saying, well, freedom of speech, the way we have in the campuses today is absolutely unacceptable. And for us as academic, as people, as democratic people to just accept that you have to allow everyone to say whatever they want should have a second opportunity to rethink. And all of you that are here, again, I thank you so much for all being here. And in a way, we're preaching to the choir, but in a way, we're saying what the mayor said: go beyond prayers and really see what I can do to change, bring a little bit more light into the world, hug another person, and how we can do something positive and beautiful rather than killing and maiming. And if we take more of a proactive role in that, I'm sure that by the time Hanukkah, we reach the 8th day, we'll have so much light in this world, and it will continue growing and growing exponentially, and all of the negativity is going to be completely vanished, and the news won't have any bad stuff to report anymore, and we'll just look at happy, joyous, beautiful, wishful, messianic occasions ahead of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen Abraham from Bethel Synagogue.
My deep thanks to the Jewish Federation and to Bob for making today possible and opportunity. We gather today with broken hearts after the brutal terrorist attack at Sydney's Bondi Beach, and we mourn the innocent lives that were taken. We grieve with their families, and we stand in solidarity with a community that was shaken by hatred and violence. Jewish tradition teaches that whoever destroys a single life destroys an entire world. Terrorism is an attempt to deny that truth, to declare that some lives are disposable. Judaism rejects that absolutely. We are speaking today, as so many have mentioned, during the holiday of Hanukkah, a Jewish festival born at a time of terror and persecution. Hanukkah does not celebrate power or conquest. It celebrates the decision to light a flame when darkness surrounded us, to insist that moral truth still matters. The rabbis taught that we increase light one candle at a time. The teaching is not sentimental, it is defiant. It tells us that when civilians are targeted, when fear is meant to silence us, the response must be clarity, courage, and solidarity. Hanukkah teaches us that when terror spreads darkness, our obligation as humans, our obligations as people, our obligations as friends and community members is not to retreat and to hide, but to bring more light into the public square. So we stand with our community today, and we stand with this community of Sydney, and with all the people of conscience. May the memories of the victims be a blessing, and may we light candles as Hanukkah, and may they remind us in the world that human dignity cannot and will never be extinguished. Thank you.
Rabbi Ben Sharf from Temple Israel.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you to our elected officials and to members of law enforcement, to all of you for being here today. To take a slightly different tone, last night, Temple Israel, we gathered together to celebrate the first night of the Festival of Hanukkah. It was a gathering that was months in planning. We had over 200 people sign up to come. And then Sunday morning, we received the news of the horrors that occurred in Australia. And we realized that we needed to up our security presence to make sure every member of our community felt safe, that they felt they were looked after and being watched over. We reached out to our friends in OPD, in law enforcement, to Federation, and to the state of Nebraska, and they responded tremendously. There was an incredible presence both at the front of our building and the back, and even on social media to demonstrate that these are our friends and they will not have to gather and celebrate their Judaism in fear. This has not always been the case throughout the history for us as Jews. We know that we are targeted, we know that hate exists in the world, and we know that there is far too much tolerance for intolerance and hate speech. We know that anti-Semitism has been running rampant, but we also know that we have friends. And so many of you are here today, and we're so grateful for your presence to know that we have allies, not just in what it means to celebrate our Judaism, but to be able to stand up against hate, and to be able to do the song that we sang, the last song we sang last night, to light one candle. Tonight we're going to light another candle, and then the next night, another after that. We're going to keep lighting them, knowing that even as our hearts are heavy, we have friends, we have allies, we have you to help be partners with us, to help protect us, to help us work together to make this world better, to be able to light that candle and to be a light. So thank you to all of you. We're tremendously grateful for everything you do for us, and know that we are proud supporters of you and proud to be honored and to stand with you as we combat the evils of hate and anti-Semitism in this world. For those lights will be extinguished, even as ours continue to shine ever brighter. Thank you.
Rabbi Mordechai Geiger from Beth Israel Synagogue. Before anything else, I want to express my deepest condolences to the families of those who were murdered in the recent anti-Semitic terror attack,
now confirmed to have taken the lives of 15 and wounded countless others, for their loved ones, and for a Jewish community once again forced to grieve lives taken simply because they were Jewish. Thank you to the Jewish Federation for convening us, and thank you to our local leaders, neighbors, and members of the Omaha community for being here. I want to speak personally for a moment. My wife and I, we love this city. We love this community. And in times like this, we see how much this city gives back to us. We are grateful to all those who stand with us today. We're grateful for those who speak clearly, for their intolerance for anti-Semitism and for terror. This clarity matters. I'm here as a rabbi, as a neighbor, as a father, as a husband, who cares deeply about the world that we are leaving to our children. And I want us all to ask that question: what world are we leaving to our children? This attack was not only an assault on Jews, it was an assault on the moral foundation of a civilized society. Terrorism is barbarity. Anti-Semitism is one of the most dangerous forms of hate, and moral clarity requires that we name both of them for what they are. We call upon people of conscience, Jews and non-Jews alike, to stand up clearly against anti-Semitism in all its forms. Silence and ambiguity allow hate to spread. Moral clarity stops it. We are deeply grateful to all the community leaders who are here today. And we also call upon to our elected officials at every level, not only to speak, but to act. In recent days, many have shared a teaching from the Rabbi Eli Schlanger of Sydney. Before his murder, he taught that in face of these times, we have to spread more light. We have to do more good. We have to stand proud for who we are. And after the fateful party this weekend, his family and colleagues have pushed only stronger that we stand proud, that we don't hide. This idea resonates deeply, not just as a slogan, but as a responsibility. This is what we're doing here in Omaha. We are showing up, we are strengthening one another, and we are asking our neighbors and our leaders to stand with us in clarity, courage, and action. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to ask my colleague Sharon Brodke, the Executive Director of the Jewish Community Relations Council, to wrap us up.
Thank you all for this very affirming moment in time at this very dark hour. And I want to say that I went home last night after the Temple Hanukkah party, and I lit my Hanukkiot in my window proudly. They will be there, and they will, I may even just keep them lit up until the end of the year, because we need a lot of light. At this time, if the media has any questions for our guests, this might be a good opportunity, or we can ask, as long as they can stay around, if you want to have individual meetings with them outside in the lobby, we can make that happen as well. Would anybody like to bring anybody else up to the podium for a question from the media?
I'll ask one, and this might be for you. I don't know. How much, when we see anti-Semitism around the world, right now, since, let's say, probably since October 7th, how much do you think is, and maybe this is hard to measure, are there a lot of people that are conflating, as someone mentioned, the policies of an individual government or an individual politician or their coalition government with the entire culture of the Jewish people, or the Jewish people around the world, and is that some of it stemming from that people are just ignorant of the difference?
That's an excellent question, and yes, I think that that's very much the case. Anti-Semitism is usually a manifestation of something much deeper than one government's policies or one particular leader's maybe shortcomings or missteps or disagreements with how a war is being prosecuted. I think that you would be hard-pressed to find any Jew in Israel who doesn't criticize Bibi Netanyahu. It is a national pastime in Israel. There are many Jews in the diaspora who have been very uncomfortable with certain aspects, to be perfectly candid, with certain aspects of the prosecution of the war. That does not give license to people to call for globalizing an intifada, which basically means murdering Jews wherever they are. That does not delegitimize the state of Israel or its right to exist among all the other nations that were created around the same time. And as Bob indicated, that Israel is always held to a different standard. That is pure, unadulterated anti-Semitism. I believe that we all know war is horrible. There are no words to describe it. And the images that we have been inundated with since late October 2023 have certainly been used to fuel what is already an underlying sentiment of anti-Semitism. It became, as I said in my opening remarks, an accelerant. And this is what we have to act to fight against. And if at any time anybody in the community has any questions or concerns or wants to discuss or wants resources to learn more about that, as opposed to taking TikTok's word or any other random source that you may have, or getting out of your own echo chamber, we're here as a resource to provide that. There is no question that is out of bounds or that is too stupid or trivial. We're here to have that dialogue. And we want to not be talking in the vile terms and slurs and accusations that are being made toward Jews across the world, or the responsibility that people are ascribing to Jews across the world for a government's actions. It's not fair. It's a double standard. But we're going to do everything in our power to combat that at every opportunity. Any other questions? Yes.
Can you just expand upon, you mentioned Jason, what you've seen in Nebraska as there is to anti-Semitism since terrorist camps in 2023?
I would actually call upon Harmon for that, because the ADL is really the keeper of the stats, and we rely upon their data as well as the data from the Combat Anti-Semitism Movement, Stop Anti-Semitism, and a number of other organizations. Mike's yours.
Thanks, Sharon. So over the course of about 3-4 years, we averaged about 20 a year. We saw a spike that almost doubled that to 44. And fortunately, with the help of all you in this room and the strong commitment and relationships we have, we've seen a decrease down to 33 now. So that's a 25% reduction in anti-Semitic incidents in Nebraska. Those incidents can be harassment, they can be assault, or they can be vandalism. So those are our three categories of categorizing anti-Semitism in the state.
Any other questions? Thank you all again for being here. Thank you to our elected officials, to our clergy, to our law enforcement partners. Please feel free to reach out with any other questions or concerns you may have.
I will, absolutely, yeah. Thank you. Good luck in your...
I know.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Yeah.